So the question that I like to ask, and is by no means original with me, but in these kind of apologetic conversations, whenever someone is critiquing traditional morality, whenever they're critiquing a biblical worldview or something like natural law, and they're offering something else in its place that they consider to be more desirable, more just, whatever it may be, the question is why, and says who?
Yeah. By what standard?
Exactly.
Right? Because you're just replacing words, but trying to say this is what's good, this is what's right, And what is the ultimate standard upon which you're making those claims, right? Because if you're just subjecting your own thoughts or feelings on the issue, there's no reason, if that's all that it is, there's no reason why your feelings or your opinions are any weightier than mine.
That's
right?
Exactly right.
And so we play this game, where we say, okay, well, maybe it's not just individuals who decide morality. Maybe it's communities that decide morality, right? But all that does is kick the problem back up the food chain a little bit and say, well, what about when one society disagrees with another society? What when the Allied forces think that the Axis shouldn't be doing what they're doing, right? And so you keep pushing it up and up and up, but you realize for there ever to be a point in which every single person is bound to say this is right and this is wrong, that standard actually has to be grounded outside of something outside of man, right? Outside of the human race.
And this is a key point in part 2 that Lewis is driving at that we really want to emphasize throughout this episode, I think. The pro-abortionist is offended when the Christian imposes his morality upon society. Who are you to say what a woman ought to do with her own body, right? And we see the fallacy in that. We say, well, we're not actually talking about what she can do with her own body. We're talking about what she ought to do.
But who are you to tell me that I shouldn't be telling other people things they should do?
Exactly.
You're telling me I shouldn't be doing something right now?
Correct.
Why shouldn't I tell you should be doing it right now?
And that's the issue, is to say every value judgment like that is an imposition of morality. The question is, whose morality? By what standard? Says who? And so the same person who is offended by a pro-life activist imposing the morality of a pro-life position upon the rest of the society, that same activist for abortion is going to demand that the rest of society celebrate transgender rights or same-sex marriage or whatever other perversion may be kind of the flavor of the month. And we're always talking about morality. People have said foolish things like, you cannot legislate morality. The reality is morality is about the only thing that you can legislate.
That's right. Yeah. And the most mundane law is still based upon the principal idea somewhere that this is what you ought to do or what you ought not to do.
Correct.
For some reason.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why and says who? Those are always the questions. By what standard is that obligation being imposed upon me?